and welcome to another masterclass with Analytics, of course. And today we're going to be taking a look at business analysis, understanding what it really takes to be a business analyst. But before the session began, I was thinking, something came to my mind, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be the only one to be thinking about this. I would like to get your thoughts as well. Now, when I mean your thoughts, I'm talking about each and every person on the call. All right, talking about Adrian, talking about Gideon, Emmanuel, George, Han, Henry, John, Joy, Kenneth, Nelson, Nnamdi, Phillips, Oluwaseyi, Fondufe, Theophilus, Toria, Vivian, Albans, Sheila, everyone on the call at the moment. Of course, more people are going to be joining us soon. I want to get your thoughts on something. What do we think is the perfect job? Okay, what do we think is the perfect job? What is that? What features do we think should be in a role for us to say that, oh, this is amazing. This is the role for me. What do we think would make you say, oh, wow, so all of these things can be found in this job. All of these things can be found in this role. And this is what I want. All right. What do we think is a perfect job? What do we think is a perfect job? Come on, guys. I would like to get our response. What do we think is a perfect job? Is it a job that you can work remotely? Maybe a role that you have a six-figure salary. All right, so you're earning six figures. Is that the case? All right, is that the case? What do we think? All right, so what do we think, guys? I need responses, okay? I need responses. Today, it's all about going to be, interaction. So there's going to be a lot and lots and lots of interaction. We are going to be communicating. And what is communication? I speak, you speak, we all speak. Okay, so that's what communication is all about. And that is what we are going to be doing today. But I would like to get our thoughts as to the question I asked some minutes ago. That is, what features should be in a role for you to say that, wow, I think this is the role for me. All right. What are those things? So so Stanley says, I think it was Stanley that responded. Just a moment. So just all right. So Emmanuel says a job you have passion for. A job you have passion for. So Emmanuel believes that for you to actually say, oh wow, this is the perfect role, you have to have passion for that role. Wow, passion. Fantastic. Okay. Toria says a seven-figure salary job. Wow. I think I and Tori, so we have the same Tori. So I think that's Tori. All right. So apologies if I did not pronounce your name perfectly. Okay. So I and Tori said, I think we have the same mindset. A seven-figure salary, not six figures. So six figures, it's so last year. That's last year. That's what we talked about last year. This year, it's seven figures. All right. That is what we are looking at. That is what is the perfect job for Tori. Okay. Theophilus says a perfect job is that job that does not dilute you. All right. You don't go what we call delulu. All right. You are down to it. You understand what it is you're doing. You understand things that should be done. You understand what you are expecting from that role. Okay. It says a perfect job is that job that does not delude you of your entire life. Promises, learning, development, and financial accomplishment. Okay. Something that you can, you go to work, you know what you are looking to achieve. And at the end of the day, of course, you achieve that. Gideon says a perfect job should give you the right tools that drive you to satisfaction. Satisfaction. Right. So Philip says a job that promises career growth, and Nelson says peace of mind. Peace of mind. I just want to go to work. I just want to relax, be peaceful. I'm not thinking about. It's not. I don't want to dread Mondays. All right. So you don't have a situation about, oh wow, it's Monday again. It's Monday again. The Monday craze. Okay. George says, for me, hi everyone, for me, I must be able to explore all my transferable skills to such role with the right tool to deliver. That is what George sees as a perfect role. And Tessa says, a job that pays my bills and allows me to live life with family. Okay. A job that pays the bills and has good work-life balance. Fantastic, Tessu. And Oluwaseyi says, a remote job, not just a remote job, but a remote job where I get a chance to achieve my accomplishments, pays well, without stress, and drives career growth. Fantastic. What is a perfect job? We'll get into that soon. We come back to what I just mentioned. All right, we'll come back to this. But yeah, let's move on. So I mentioned earlier that we are going to be taking a look at business analysis and understanding what really a business analyst do. And the niche that we're going to be taking a look at now, today, in the next couple of hours, it's requirement gathering. How you can gather requirements as a business analyst. Okay, and so that's the first thing. Of course, we're going to learn and practice requirement gathering, just like what I mentioned. And then we also take a look at how you can get the skills, the necessary technical and employability skills for you to become a business analyst, not just to be a business analyst, but to get a job as a business analyst. Not just any job, but the jobs that contain the features we've listed, the perfect role. And of course, we take a look at the upcoming cohort. All right. Yeah. And a little bit about analytics for those of us that maybe this is the first time you've joined one of our master classes or one of our tech series, and you're like, oh, so what is Analytics about? So Analytics is an ed tech organization, an ed tech company. And what we do is that we help people of the Black community to transition into tech, because we took a look at recent times and then we noticed that when you take a look at those, those fantastic roles, take a look at roles in tech, you usually don't find much of, people of the Black community. Of course, you have the Indians, so you see the Indians there, you see the Asians, but that is not the case when you take a look at the African community, when you take a look at the Black community in general. That's not the case. And so we decided to help Africans transition into the tech space. So you have you have career growth. You're not just doing those you're not just going to work to survive. You're not just doing things that, just to pay the bills, but you're doing something that you can see a career growth. You're seeing that, oh, I'm going to move from step to step, from year to year. You are earning well. You're doing something that you are excited to do. All right, so that is our goal here at Analytics, helping as much people of the Black community to transition into tech. And we currently offer 8 programs. That's data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, Scrum, cybersecurity, and AI engineering, which is coming soon. Okay, so AI engineering is something that we are going to launch pretty soon. So, do watch out. All right, and we have a fantastic team of facilitators that have worked in the top the Fortune 500 companies. I'm sure you know about that. All right, people that have a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of experience. So they are able to learn from people that can give top-notch experience, top-notch learning. That is what we offer here at Analytics. Okay, but don't worry, we get to learn more about us in due time. All right. But yeah, so a little bit about me. You might be wondering who has been speaking for a while now. This guy, just started just speaking. I don't even know who is he. Okay. I'm Aisha, sir. Aisha Sagmulaho. As you can see from my name tag. All right, there's a name tag by the left. All right, so that's my name. And a very, very experienced expert, all right, in tech, of course. And I have experience spanning from data analytics, business analysis, power platform development, and more recently, predictive AI engineering. That's what I began at the start of the year, diving a little into AI. All right. And I'm the current team lead for the data analytics program here at Analytics. And I have a lot of experience regarding data analytics, business analysis, power platform, like I mentioned earlier, having worked for numerous organizations across Africa and Europe, and basically helping them transform their critical business processes, taking them from where they want to be, taking them from where they are rather to where they want to be. And I've also trained over 1,500 professionals across 4 continents. That's America, Asia, Europe, and Africa. But that's a little about me. That's not what we are here for. We are not here to listen to Aisha speak. We are here to learn about business analysis and being a business analyst. Learn about requirement gathering. And the person that's going to be taking us through this today is none other than Tesu Adorora. Okay, so Tesu is an experienced business analyst with Wema Bank. All right, so he's a current business process analyst at Wema Bank PLC. He has a tons of experience relating to business analysis, project management, a banker, all right, business analysis coach, and a whole lot more. So we are going to be learning at the table of TESU today. All right, getting to learn about business analysis, business analyst, and how we can get into all of that. All right. And of course, requirement gathering. Let's not forget about that. That's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to hand over to Tesu now. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Tesu, and then just stay back. I'm going to come in later, and I will take us through what really is the perfect job. Tesu.
Okay, thank you very much, Isosa, for that very well done introduction. Very glad to be here. Okay, so in a moment we'll start, but I want to be sure that we have everyone here together. So if you're here with us, can we have you drop a 1 in the chat? Just drop the number 1 in the chat and tell us you're here. All right, yet to see your ones coming. Okay, so before we start, let's look at who a business analyst is, right? So today we are discussing a beginner's guide in understanding requirement gathering. So first of all, let's see who is a business analyst, right? We can just briefly talk about that. Who is a business analyst? Maybe somebody can help us define who a business analyst is. Then we'll go into requirement. I see all your ones dropping, Bumi, Saidi, Vivian, Galaxy, Hazel, Oluwase. I see you all. All right, so who can tell us who a business analyst is quickly before we proceed, so that we can build some kind of foundation before we go into requirement gathering, which is one of the key things that a business analyst would do. So who can give us a fair idea of who a business analyst is? Okay, a business analyst is one who draws insight from figure, which is data. That would be correct. Parts of it. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't even in that. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so yes, I see that a business analyst is one who draws insights from figure, which is data. Yes, that's great. Can we have another definition, please? Now, Theophilus, I'll tell you why your definition is correct. It's correct in the sense that it gives us an aspect, but we'll look at that later. All right, so Nelson said brings about change, which is correct. Thank you. Business analyst is a change agent, right? He facilitates change in an organization. What kind of change? Positive change, actually. So Tolu is saying a business analyst is a professional who plays a crucial role in the organization by bridging the gap between business needs and technology solution. Tolu Lope, that is so on point. Thank you very much. All right. Then Tori is saying a business analyst is a person who processes, interprets, documents business processes, products, services, and software through analysis of data. Let me just change that data to information. All right. Thank you very much. Business analyst projects profit losses of a business. iPhone 13, that will also be correct. All right, thank you very much for your input in this. From what we have gathered so far from everybody's definition, business analysis is a job of intermediation, right? Why I call it intermediation is helping the business to do business better. And how are we going to do business better? Obviously, we're using some set of skills and techniques, applying them to help the business get solutions to whatever problems that they have, first of all, or opportunities that we are looking for to capitalize on in the environment. Someone rightly said that business analysts are change agents. They drive change, right? So now, a business wants to go from one step to the other. How do we do this change? A business analyst would sit down to help you determine how to move from point A, where you are, to point B, where you want to make that change, right? So basically, that is what a business analyst a business analysis is, that job of intermediation, helping business stakeholders reach their goals, proffering solutions. It could be technology, it could be other kinds of solutions that will help the business. Like someone talked about helping the business become profitable, exactly, like profit losses of a business, right? That was from iPhone 13. So a business analyst would help the business take the cost towards profitability, avoiding losses by maybe cutting down expenditure and helping to save cost for the business. All right, so in the line of business, okay, in the line of doing this job, there is one thing that is pertinent for the business analyst to do, which is requirement gathering. And then we're going to ask, what is requirement? We'll get into that in a bit. But there has to be some investigation that the business analyst would do to know what the problem is, if there's a problem, and how we can make good use of this opportunity that we'd have. So some kind of investigation would have to, go on, which is referred to as requirement gathering in a business analysis terms, right? So let's look at this requirement. So we're saying requirement, at least we can understand what gathering is, putting together, right? But what is then requirement? Let's look at what a requirement is. So the International Institute of Business Analysis, the IIBA, has defined requirements to be a condition or a capability that is required by a stakeholder to solve a problem or achieve an objective. So what it is simply saying is that those things that we need to put in place to say that we have solved this problem, or we have reached this goal, or we have maximized this opportunity that we have existing around us. That is simply what a requirement is, right? You can call it a to-do list, you can call it conditions, you can call it a capability required by stakeholders to be sure that we have reached an objective, or we have been able to capitalize on an opportunity that exists in our environment. So let's talk about what requirement analysis now is. So we've talked about what a requirement is. So what is requirement gathering or requirement analysis? We'll look at that briefly. Now, requirement analysis would be, we're going to be talking about requirement analysis as the procedure that helps us get these requirements, these conditions, these to-do lists, these things that are necessary for us to fulfill to be able to say we have met this objective or we have solved this problem, right? This is what requirement analysis is. You can also refer to requirement analysis as requirement engineering, right? It is that procedure where we get this information out of, it could be stakeholders, it could be material, it could be from data, like some of us pointed out when we defined what the business analyst would do. And this would involve communication and interaction with stakeholders to be able to get out these requirements. It can also mean we are going to be able to resolve conflicts. By conflict, I mean when ideas don't match, when we have different stakeholder groups coming with different ideas as to what the requirements for the project should be, or what the conditions that need to be fulfilled are for this project. Business analysts should be able to resolve the conflicts, basically conflicts when it comes to interest or, requirements. And then of course, document this requirement so that it stands as the authority for the project or the authority for the solution throughout the lifetime of that solution. Of course, there's requirement traceability and, making sure that the requirements remain valid throughout the rest of the project. Yes, so what are these stages? How do we do requirement analysis? First is to gather information, right? Because you would have to get this information from the stakeholders themselves. You need to be able to get the information from stakeholders and be sure that this information you are getting from them is valid. It is, of course, this information that we are going to build into requirement. There are several techniques that are used to get information from stakeholders. which could be from process documentation to interviews to surveys to document analysis. We're going to look at that in a bit. But the first thing to do is to gather the information. It's the information that would let us understand, or is this information that we are going to draw out these requirements or these conditions that need to be fulfilled from. The next is requirement analysis and validation. So once we get these requirements from stakeholders, we want to be sure that we, first of all, heard them right. We got the information that they are passing right and validate that this information is true. And then we are going to draw out our requirements from then, from the information that we have. So if we have information of how a process works, for example, we're able to either diagnose and know where there are issues with the process or how we are going to make that particular business process better. And this information have to be clear, unambiguous, complete, and consistent, because if party A tells us one thing and then we go to Nelson to validate, oh, Nelson, you're the head of department here. What can you say about this information? Nelson says no, A, B, and C is not correct, right? We need to have information that is consistent and to the best of our ability, complete and clear. That is what we can build requirements upon. Now, requirements are the bedrock of any project, okay? If you don't get the requirement stage right, you are already on your way to failing on the project. I'll tell us why in the coming slides. Now, requirements modeling comes next after validation. So this is where we are going to bring these requirements to life, right? To show the end users of the application or the process or the solution that we're going to build, how the product will look like physically, right? It can be as simple as drawing sketches of what the product or solutions looks like, or as technical as having designs in UI UX or in Figma, to show us exactly how this product will look like and behave at the end, right? Basically taking these requirements and building some sort of a physical representation of what these requirements would look like, or what the end solution would look like, to give the end users or other project stakeholders the idea of what the solution would look like at the end of the day. Then, of course, documentation and sign-off. I mentioned initially that documenting these requirements would mean that this will become the authority document for the whole of the project. So if we are in doubt at any time, we have to make reference to the requirement document. And of course, this has to be signed off by all stakeholders concerned, right? The requirement document has to be properly signed off and approved to bind and to become the authority that we need for the project. All right, so we're going to be looking at elicitation techniques, that is requirement gathering techniques. How are we going to get this information that we need from stakeholders? Remember, gathering the requirements, getting this information is one thing, and actually analyzing them to get these requirements from the information is another thing, right? So we're going to look at how that is done. Briefly, we'll look at 5 techniques: interviews, workshops, observation, brainstorming, and document analysis. All right, so let's go straight into it. Interviews is first. So interviews would help you have conversations with your stakeholders. All right, so we have been mentioning stakeholders. Maybe I should break that ice a bit, right? Stakeholders are a stakeholder is a person or a group of persons that have interest, whether directly or indirectly, in that project you're building or the solution you're trying to build. That interest could be positive or even negative, right? So any person with an interest, directly or indirectly, to the project that you're doing is your stakeholder. And there are different classes of types of stakeholders, ranging from the project sponsor to, project team members and all of those stakeholders. But generally, everybody who has an interest in your project is your stakeholder. And it's also worthy to state that not everybody in your organization will be a stakeholder on your project. And then not all project stakeholders can be equally the same, all of that are those things that we handle in class. But I just want to, explain around who a stakeholder is, so that for those of us who are still having sketchy understanding can get exactly who a stakeholder is. So when I say stakeholder, I mean those people, or a person or group of people who have interest in the project or the solution that we are trying to build. All right, so now, having broken that down, an interview can be organized with one or more stakeholders. So you want to be talking to these people to get their ask them questions and get their responses and document them. Why are you documenting them? This information is helpful to guide you towards what is required to complete your solution. There are basically 3 ways we can do interviews. We have structured interviews, unstructured interviews, and then the semi-structured interviews, depending on the kind of person your stakeholder is, or your stakeholder group is, right? Some people like it very formal, some like it semi-formal, and some like it very informal. That is, so you would want to know the kind of stakeholders you're going to talk to, and then the method, the technique you're going to use to get out the information that you need from the stakeholders. Right, so what are the benefits of the interviews? Interviews give you an opportunity to ask questions and also follow up questions, when you need to ask them. Another benefit is when you conduct an interview, whether virtual or physical, you're able to see non-verbal cues, right? Maybe the sound of their voice, how they spoke, how they answered your question, or their facial expression when they answered your question. You are able to, judge that. And if there are things that are worthy of note, you can include it in your documentation so that it helps you, produce better requirements. All right, so moving on to workshops. Workshops are, more like an interview, but this is in a facilitated environment. All right, so in a workshop, you get together subject matter experts who would give you the information you need about the investigation that you are doing. Let's say you're trying to find out about how your e-commerce application work. Maybe you're trying to build a new one, or trying to fix an issue on the e-commerce platform, for example. You need to get the subject matter experts. By subject matter expert, I mean the individuals who know very well about how this application functions. Get them in a room to get information out of them, right? So that you are focusing on a topic, and you know that the people in this audience or participating in the workshop have the information that you need. So a workshop would have a facilitator who would obviously lead the session and guide everybody's thought towards getting that information. And of course, a scribe who would take down the information, that is being received from this workshop. Now, a business analyst can decide to be a facilitator or a scribe or just a participant in this workshop. It depends on the it depends on what the business analyst chooses to do at that particular time, or the options that are available at that particular time. Most times I would prefer to be a participant in my workshop so that I can, listen to everybody and listen to all sides. If there are questions that the facilitator has not asked that I want to chip in, I could just raise up my hand and ask questions. So it helps you look at the perspective, everybody's perspective, and you're just an observer. It helps you take down a whole lot of information that maybe the scribes can even give to you at the end of the day. What are the benefits? Workshops would help to foster collaboration, right? The participants that are there, if there are any conflicts that would have come up within that workshop, or from having separate interviews, we are able to trash it in that very workshop, that very sitting that we have. And of course, workshops don't always go that way. You may need to have several workshops to come to an understanding, but I'll tell you that is, faster than, meeting these people one after the other. When you need to have a workshop, you know that this is a complex situation that requires several experts. Let's talk to all of them at a time. You know that this is a need to have, this is a time to have a workshop. Then observation. So observation simply means you're going to observe, like the word said, sit down and look at how your business, your stakeholders perform their business or the activities that they perform. So this would help you document what the issues are or what the opportunities are that we are going to leverage on, to help the business thrive, right? So for example, there are times where there's no documentation for what is being done or how the business is being done. For example, our e-commerce application, there's no documentation as to how the order process works, how the order fulfillment process works, for example. So you want to see these guys do their thing, right? You can, as a business analyst, use observation to get information as to how things are done. Or maybe the users are unable to explain to you exactly how this thing is done. So, okay, let me even see how it's done, and then you document the outcome. There are two kinds of observations, the passive and then the active observation. You can actively observe by looking at the process and asking questions as they perform it. Passively, you can just watch them do what they do, and at the end you document your observations and ask questions where there is need. So if the one of the very key benefits of observation is that if there are any steps that are being done that are not necessarily documented, or they're informal tasks, but they do these tasks to help them perform their job, you can also see that and document it, and also identify areas that need improvement in that particular business or process or area of business. Then brainstorming. Number 4 technique for requirement elicitation is brainstorming. So how is a brainstorming done? Now, a brainstorming would look something like a workshop. It has a facilitator. It of course has a scribe, and then it encourages people to share their opinion. But this time around, you are not necessarily bringing together subject matter experts. You're bringing together just about anybody who has interest in what you're doing to get their opinions on a broader topic. So if you're looking at maybe you're talking at e-commerce in general, so let's look at e-commerce. Can it give us ideas on how to make e-commerce better? You're not looking at the issue you have with your application or building a new application, right? So we get into a workshop. Participants will come in. We'll have a facilitator and a scribe. Facilitator encourages everybody to bring their opinions and their thoughts and their viewpoint, and also assures them of no judgment. Nobody's going to judge you. No idea is not worthy. And then everybody brings in their best. And from there, the business analyst gets enough information to build requirements for a project or a product or a solution. All right, so what are the key benefits? In a tension-free place, everybody is encouraged to bring their opinions. And then it will also help us get a large amount of information that we can use to fine-tune what requirements that we have to build our solution. Then document analysis. Document analysis, like some persons mentioned when we define a business analyst, so getting insight from data. Data is one of the sources a business analyst would get requirements from, right, that will work with. So a document analysis could be looking at an existing document and information in a document that would help us understand what the processes are, and also help us to draw insight to build new solutions or capitalize on an existing opportunity. All right, so document analysis would help us to evaluate the document. Be sure that this document, the source of the document is relevant, current, and credible. And then go ahead to review this document to get the information that you require for the project or for the solution you're trying to build. Commonly used document types could be system specifications, contracts, minutes of meetings, procedure documents, business plans, training manuals, and etc. What are the benefits? Document analysis would help you leverage on material that already exists. So there's information that already exists, and you can use that to build, to start with, right? So if what already exists in the document differs from what is currently happening in the business, you are able to tell, you're able to even start from there to do a gap analysis to check between what is documented and what you can find on ground. The next is document analysis can be used in conjunction with other techniques. For example, to prepare for an interview, you may want to go through a procedure document, for example, so that you can ask questions that are relevant, right? You ask questions from a well-informed position this time around. So you've read documents, you understand what that business area is and what the challenge is. So when you're asking questions, your questions are very relevant to the problem or to the opportunity that you are looking at. Then let's talking about questions. What kind of questions do you ask during a requirement gathering session? Now, not every kind of question, you need to ask open-ended questions, questions that allow your audience or your interviewee to give you answers that would lead you to the information that you're looking at. You would want to avoid asking questions that they can answer yes or no to. That doesn't give you the information you're looking for. And then ask questions in logical sequence. These questions have to make sense. I always tell people this. I have a colleague that every time she goes for requirement gathering, the first question she will ask you is, what are we trying to achieve? What is the scope of this project? Regardless of what you have told her before that time, she would ask you what is the scope. So it looks like if she doesn't ask that question, she would not move to her next questions. And it looks like all the questions are pre-planned and all of that. You would want to avoid that. You would want to make sure that your questions make sense to the person that is listening to you. So if they have, if you ask a question, for example, say, okay, I'm curious, what led to this idea? And they are able to explain the business problem and are also able to give you some kind of background, right? They have given you what the problem is and they have given you the background. You can as well just go ahead to say, okay, repeat what they have said as the background and validate that what they have said is actually the background to what this business problem is, so that you don't go about repeating it. So, okay, now they have explained the business problem and explained the idea, the background, and then they are saying, oh, okay, so what is the background? Why do you think we should it wouldn't make sense at that point? They would get a feeling that you're not listening to them and you will not be able to get the information that you want from them. All right, so that being said about requirement questions, let's look at the types of requirement that we have. All right, in so many spheres, you would see requirements grouped into two categories. You look at the functional and non-functional requirements. But in functional requirements, we have requirement broken down into several other types. So let's look at them one after the other. The business requirement talks about the high-level objectives or the needs or what the software or the solution is intended to address. Very high level. For example, the system shall improve customer satisfaction by streamlining the order processing workflow. This talks about the entire objective, one of the objectives that we want to achieve with this, our order processing workflow solution. That's simply high level. So that's the business requirement. It could be one, it could be several business requirements that we have. The next is the user requirement. This tells us about what the end user is expecting to see. What functionalities are the end users expecting to see from our solution? I want to take a pause here. Are we together? If we are together, I want to see us drop a 1 in the chat. Let me be sure that we are all here. Yeah, I can see us on the call, but let me be sure that we are listening. If you are here with us, let me see. Theophilus, I see you. Eric, Tululokpe, okay, I see you all. Yes, Ruth, Henry, everybody. Okay, I see you. We are all together. All right, so that is a signal for me to fire down. Okay, so user requirement is talking about what the expectations of the end user, the functionalities that they want to see. For example, the users want to see us have a user-friendly interface, an interface where they can input data easily, right? You don't want to, as a user, be looking for where you want to type the name of the product you are searching for on our application. That is not going to be an ideal situation. So one of the user requirement could be the system shall provide an intuitive and user-friendly interface for data entry, which is, of course, what the user would want to see on our platform, on our solution. All right. Then system requirements. It describes how our application should behave, right, as a whole, rather than components. Now, not the individual functions of our components, but of our solution, but how the whole of the solution should behave. For example, compatibility, right? Our system should be compatible with operating systems such as Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. You know, that would be referred to as a system requirement. Now, what is an interface requirement? Interface requirement describes how our software or our solution should interact with external systems, like maybe software and, you know, other third-party applications. An example of that will be the system shall have an API. So an API means application programming interface, right? That allows integration. So an API is like let me say hands, you know, hands of two applications that allow handshake, allows two applications to communicate, you know, send and receive data within each other. So high level, you look at an API as handshake between two applications, right? That interface that enables two applications to have a handshake. Let me just simply describe that API to be that. So we're saying that as a requirement, our system should have that capability to integrate or to have a handshake to communicate with third-party payment processors as an, you know, as a requirement. Then transition requirement to speak to those conditions or activities that are necessary to be completed before we can say that our application or our solution is ready for use. One of those could be training, and then it could also be communication to our intended users. Then we have the functional requirements. So I talked about requirements being grouped into two, you know, functional and non-functional, right? But functional requirements would be describe what functions, right? If you look at the previous page, we looked mostly at functions and capabilities that the system should have. Functional requirement says about what are these specific functions that our software application should have, or our solution should have to be able to say, okay, at this time, these functional requirements, when fulfilled, we have our system complete. For example, login, right? If you're building an application that requires control of access, like right, user access, we should be able to, or we should be able to allow users to log in using a username and a password. Then, of course, last but not the least, non-functional requirements, which are qualities and characteristics that our system should have, but are not related to any particular function. It means that the whole of our application should have these capabilities. For example, performance, how well our system performs, our security requirements, how safe is our solution, the interface, how the application looks like across all functions, across all of the pages that we have on the application or on the solution. Then prioritizing requirements. I often say this, that requirements are not born equal. So not everything your stakeholders, so during your elicitation, you talk to stakeholders, not everything your stakeholder tells you, you know, becomes a requirement. They shouldn't just make it to your requirement document because your stakeholder says it, right? You should be able to prioritize this requirement. Let's know which one is most important to you, which one even makes it, which one doesn't make it to this list at all, right? We should be able to know that. Now, first of all, MOSCO is the acronym we use to help us understand what requirements are valid and those ones that we should, keep by the side for now. All right. So Moscow, MO in Moscow stands for must have. So these requirements are necessary. We cannot go ahead and build a solution without these requirements, right? So these are compulsory. During requirement gathering, you should be able to identify these must-have requirements that your customers or your stakeholders have, right? These ones are non-negotiable. Without these requirements, there's no solution, there's no project, right? The next is they should have. The S in the Moscow should have. These requirements are important, but then they are not very essential, right? They are important. If you build them, they are going to create some kind of value to the solution, but we can still do without them, right? So they are important, but then they are not very, very essential. So we can go ahead and do this project without them. We should know which requirements we put in this table. Then, of course, the CO could have. It is beautiful to have this kind of feature on this solution, but the impact is small, right? And we can, if we leave it out, nobody is even going to notice that this is left out, right? It's nice to have, yes, but we can actually leave it out if we cannot accommodate it. Then won't have, the W in the Moscow, won't have, but we're saying that this is not important at all and we have to leave it out, right? As a business analyst, you need to understand where this requirements fall, right? As it pertains to this project or the solution we're trying to build. Is this a must-have? Is this a should-have? Is this a could-have? Or a won't have at all? You should be able to do that and negotiate with your stakeholders enough for them to understand that, okay, this requirement, I understand you're passionate about it, but for within the context of this solution, this is a won't have. It means that this requirement is not relevant for this solution right now. And then you can go ahead to explain to your stakeholders with evidence to make them understand that, these requirements will not really add value to this project and we should not waste time and resources going after them. All right, so still on requirement prioritization. All right, when you're documenting requirements, you would want to state clearly where your requirements stand, right? So there is a value and rating for requirement prioritization. All right, so there's critical, there's high, there's medium, and there is low. Now, you have your requirements, your must have, should have, and all of that. Yeah, must have, should have, could have, and then won't have. Your won't have would not even make it to your documentation in the first place. So we're not even looking at the W. We're looking at M, O, S, and then CO. Your must have, should have, and could have. So after all of that, your must have, of course, are going to be your critical requirements. These are the requirements that are critical to the success of the project and without which there's no project, okay? Then the high could be your should have, right? They are of importance, they have high priority, but we can still go ahead and implement this project without them. Then medium are requirements that are somewhat important. These are nice to have. They provide some value, but we can still proceed without them. And low, it means that they offer some value, right? They are still within the nice to have bracket. They offer some value, but we can only add it to this project if we have time and then there's budget enough to cover it. And then future requirements, it means that while these requirements are out of scope, maybe in the future, they would be relevant to this application or relevant to our institution. So we don't want to discard it. Remember, the W won't have. So we don't want to discard it yet because they offer some value in the future. Let us include it in the documentation, but state it as future so that whoever picks up the documentation would know that, yes, these are part of the requirements, but we will look at this and implement it in the future. All right, that's it about prioritizing requirements. So what are the tips? How do you get valid requirements from your stakeholders? Number one is to make sure that you go to your stakeholders with your goal in mind. make sure you keep them within the goal of the project, because a lot of times we go into requirement gathering sections and just get a whole lot of information that ends up confusing the business analyst. You would want to make sure that you emphasize on the goal of the project and make sure that the conversations is within that scope, of the project, right? Then focus on the right stakeholders. Stakeholder analysis is there are techniques to conducting stakeholder analysis. By stakeholder analysis I mean knowing those stakeholders that are relevant to your project. We do that in class. We have activities here at Analytics to help you understand these stakeholders, who these stakeholders are. If you don't get the right stakeholders, believe me, every information you're getting from these stakeholders are not valid, regardless of the technique you use to get the information. They are not valid because these persons are not the right people to give you the information that you need. All right, then leave enough time. Requirement gathering cannot be done in a hurry because you may not remember to ask them questions, all the questions that you need to ask them, and then they may not also remember to give you all of the information that they need to give you at that time. So you need to give it time. You need to maybe come back after a while, or use several methods to get this information from them. And make sure you confirm your understanding of the requirements that you get. So play back these requirements to them. So you can say something like, if I heard you correctly, you said that we need to have a payment feature on this application. True? He said, yeah, true. So we were also considering having a payment feature such as Paygate and PayPal. They are specific in this time, and they are even adding more information after you have validated what they had said. Right. So, and then also remember that requirement gathering is an iterative process. It will continue going. Right. That's why you have to be able to trace your requirements throughout the project. Make sure that the requirements are still very relevant, right? So if there are some things that are missed during the requirement gathering stage, that can be remembered along the way. The goal is for you to be able to get as much as you can at that time, and as things come up, you are able to incorporate that. You should be able to give provisions for all of those things to happen, and give yourself time. Give yourself time, right? If your requirement gathering, if you have enough time, please, you can go between, depending on the environment you work in, between 10 business days, and 15 business days to have your requirement. And then, of course, the complexity of the project will determine how long you should have your requirement. But give yourself enough time to gather information before you start your analysis. All right, so let's move to the case study. So let's look at a mobile banking application, for example. Forgive me, I'm a banker, right? So let's go that route. So let's look at the mobile banking app, for example. Kati was hired as a business analyst, to work on requirements, actually to lead the requirements gathering effort for Absolute Bank, for the mobile banking app. What do you think Kati is going to do? What is the first step she's going to do? The goal of the project is to make sure that the application is user-friendly, right, and helps customers manage their accounts better. What is the first thing? The first step, practical step to do, is to identify who your stakeholders are. Without knowing these people, like I mentioned in the previous slide, you are going to try and fail. Every information you are gathering from stakeholders who are not the correct people, those information is absolutely not correct, right? So identifying the stakeholders would be the first step to do. And Kati went ahead to identify the stakeholders that are involved in this project, like information technology within the organization, the marketing team, the customer service, and also external groups such as customers, regulatory bodies, to understand exactly what is required when it comes to customer acquisition, and also third-party vendors who offer their services on the application, right? So identifying these people would help you understand exactly what you need to do. Then, what are the requirement elicitation techniques that Cathy used? Interviews, workshops, and document analysis. So in the context of this project, right, interviews with key stakeholders will give you information that you need to help make the platform user-friendly. Workshops would help you bring subject matter experts who have worked on similar projects like this before, or who, have an experience building such products to give you information that can help you make this product better. And then, of course, document analysis, data from the application, how users have been able to use this application would help Cathy come to build requirements that would help this application become a better application, a more user application, or user-friendly application. Then the next is documenting these requirements, right? So Jira is used for, it's a software that is used for documenting requirements. We teach that here at Analytics, how to use Jira for your project management and, your requirement traceability, requirement tracing, and, monitoring. Cathy documented requirements using Jira and Confluence. After doing that, compiled a requirement, business requirement document that will be approved, right? And that document included functional and non-functional requirements, and also technical requirements that would help the stakeholders, the product team, build the software that we need to build, our new banking application that would help us, have a more user-friendly system. And of course, you know that this document contains our stakeholders and also the approvals from the stakeholders. Then, how was Cathy able to validate and prioritize requirements? Cathy validated requirements through review meetings. So when we gather requirements, usually what we do in practical, what I do is when I gather requirements and I've documented them, I call the stakeholders together and we go through the documented requirement to them. Of course, explaining what each of the pages and the contents are, and then we get on the same page to validate that what they told me, the information they gave me, is what is contained in the requirement document before we move ahead. Right? We can have those meetings, the review meetings, or prototyping. You remember I mentioned requirement modeling, right? Model this requirement and show them what the end product would be so that they are able to, understand that we're on the same page when it comes to the requirements. So Cathy did all of this, and Cathy used Moscow to also prioritize requirements and, helped stakeholders also vote. There are some times where you are in a fix, right? So help stakeholders vote. Okay, we have 3 major requirements. Which one should we do first? By show of hands. And of course, we have other prioritization techniques that we do during our classes, to help business analysts understand how to prioritize. And then Cathy was able to prioritize these requirements based on the importance and feasibility as relates to our mobile app development. Then how do we communicate with stakeholders? So remember that we have done requirement gathering. Stakeholders will not just sit down and just expect that in 2, 3, 4 weeks we come back with their solution. We need to communicate to stakeholders to update them on the status of the project, either daily or weekly, depending on the development methodology that we're using. Cathy used a communication plan that helps her keep her stakeholders informed using status reports and then regular updates. Regular updates could be daily, status reports could be weekly, to help stakeholders manage stakeholders' expectations and let them know that they are on the right track, or there's some kind of progress being made with the project. And then what was the outcome? So because of Cathy's structured approach to requirement gathering, of course, it led to the successful mobile banking app, and then it was well received by customers because remember that customers were part of the stakeholders that Cathy consulted. We also got customers' feedback, customers' insight, apart from reviewing the actual data from the application that showed how customers use the application. Cathy was also able to speak to customers to get how they feel. Most times, how customers feel about your product is not in your data. that feeling, you would have to get it from the customers. And, you know, of course, getting a right sample size of customers, you'll be able to know how they feel. And then you're able to build experience into the products that you build. And that is exactly what Cathy did. And the project was able to meet the objective that it was supposed to. So if you practice requirement gathering properly, identifying stakeholders, very key, and gathering the right information and translating those information into requirements, you'll be able to succeed at your project effort. I don't know if we have any questions. This is the end of my presentation on requirement gathering. Do we have any questions? You can just drop them. I'll take a minute or two to answer those questions and we can proceed. And of course, right, this is a very broad topic that we do, you know, here at Analytics. As I had said that already, we have very qualified facilitators that will take you through all of these. Myself, I'm there. We have engaging classes that would help you understand what these requirements analysis, requirement gathering is, and then you do it hands-on, practical, to be able to gain confidence to land your next job. Sir, I think it's over to you now. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you very much for that, Tesu. That was absolutely fantastic. Now, Tesu has taken us through requirement gathering, what you need to, how as a business analyst, how you can go ahead to, gather requirements. Basically, as a business analyst, you're the middleman between the technical stakeholders and the non-technical stakeholders. And when there's a project, so let's say the company is looking to build an application, Tesla has taken us through how we can really understand what should be in the application that should be built. So if maybe the company wants to build an app that allows users to, make payments, like online payments, as a business analyst, you want to ask, how should the users make the payments? Oh, should the application also be able to make the users fly? And if it should make the users fly, what kind of wings should the users have? Should they be able to fly, using maybe bird wings, or should they be able to fly without any wings? Maybe that's something the stakeholder wants to also be in the application. All right. Of course, you have to use the most scope to determine if a requirement is valid or not. So Tesla is taking us through all of these wonderful things. And thank you very much, Tesla. All right. Now, remember the question I asked earlier. Okay. Remember the question I asked earlier about what? What is the perfect job? What do you think is the perfect role? What do you think you would say now that, oh, as long as a job has this, has that, has this, and has that as well, it's perfect for me? We gave a lot of answers. Some of us said that, just like Tori, and I agree with Tori, all right, that a seven-figure salary, seven figure, not six. Six is old school. Now we want seven figures. All right, that's one of it. We have good work-life balance. Okay, we have for you to be able to for you to have passion, for you to see career, growth in your career. We have all of those things. I will tell you what the perfect role is in the moment. Just wait up. Just wait up and listen. I will tell you what a perfect role is in the moment. Of course, we already know the features, but which role can you get all of those things that I've mentioned, that you've mentioned? All right, where can we get it? Is there really a role out there? We come back to that. Business analysis. One of the fantastic things about business analysis is that you know for a fact, like this is a fact, this is stated fact. This is not you, this is not you, going about. I always like using the term fables, all right? So this is not you talking about fables. This is not you stating fables. This is you, this is facts. This is fact. I'm about to state facts. Something about business analysis, a fact about business analysis is it's not going away anytime soon. At the moment, people are scared. Oh, the role I'm currently working, so this is what I do at the moment, and I've been told that my role is going to become diminished in subsequent years. But there's going to be a time whereby I'm going to be, maybe we are going to do a complete overhaul in the company, and I'll be told that, oh, your services are no longer needed. We don't need it. We really don't need that anymore. All right. We're scared about things like that. That's the reason nowadays when people are looking to get to transition into a new career path, one of the key things that they look at for is, what is the relevance? Is this relevant to the industry? And will this become less relevant in the next, in coming times? For business analysis, it is relevant now, and it's only going to become more relevant. And don't take my word for it. I'm not the one saying this. Like I said, it's facts. And you might be wondering, so you said it's facts, but how can you decide what a fact is? I didn't say it. The World Economic Forum went ahead to talk about all of those things. In the reports that, of course, you can view once you get access to the slides. You can go through the reports. And over here, you see one of the roles, you see business intelligence analyst, someone that can take a company from where they are to where they want to be. It's one of the roles that is currently, the hot cake in town, and it's only going to increase in the coming years. Only going to increase in the coming years. Again, I didn't say it. The World Economic Forum actually, talked about all of those things. Okay. So now, business analysis. Again, all right, so I know I mentioned business analysis previously. Now I mentioned business analysis again because business analysis is exciting. When I say business analysis, it's nice. Okay, so business analysis again. You might be wondering, why should I get into this role? Okay, of course, it's probably, it's nice, it's this, is that, but really, why should I get into this role? Remember, we talked about the perfect role, the perfect job. That job that you have good work-life balance, that job that you can work remotely, so you no longer have to be scared of the Monday craze. Oh, it's Monday, it's Monday, it's Monday. Oh wow, oh crap, it's Monday. All right, you don't need to be, you don't need to. Weekends are no longer going to fly by. Okay, weekends are no longer going to fly by. You're no longer going to have that Monday fear, that Monday fever, because of business analysis. And why? Because as a business analyst, you can also get to work remotely. As a business analyst, you have good pay because no one wants to work in a job that you cannot afford to cater for your needs, not just your needs, but also your wants. Okay? No one wants that. And so business analysis, you also get that. All of the things we mentioned so far, these things can be gotten in as a business analyst. A business analyst, all right, that's the perfect role. Getting a career in business analysis, it's perfect. But the fact that it's perfect, the fact that it's something that you want to get into, you might be wondering, what is the success rate? I learned the skills today. What is that? Is it sure that I'm going to get a job? Because it's one thing for you to actually have the skills, and it's another thing for you to get the role. It's one thing for you to have the skills for that perfect role. It's another thing for you to work in an organization, in that perfect role. It's one thing to have the skills. It's another thing to get the job. What is the success rate? It's very large. Okay, it's very, very large. We've had numerous people that have been able to transition from the classroom into their first role in tech. Being a business analyst, you don't need to be scared about the fact that we have multiple persons. Everyone wants that perfect job. So because of that, now everyone is going to be, moving towards business analysis, or I want to be a business analyst. I want to be a business analyst. And you might be wondering, if I do that as well, is that not reducing my chances of me getting a job? Because, is the industry not saturated? Number one, no, it's not saturated. Remember the World Economic Forum report. Number two, yes, it is very, very easy for you to get a role. Don't take my word for it, but rather listen to the over 2,000 plus individuals that we've been able to help to transition into their first role in tech, into the role of a business analyst. 2,000 plus. I have a few on the slides here. First of all, you see, we have Abigail. Now, Abigail was able to get a job with the government of Alberta, all right, in Canada, and that's the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, after completing a business analysis program. In less than 2 months after going through the program, she was able to do this, and she resumed her role this that's January, yeah, January this year. Now, once you get access to the slides, you can click on this. Listen to Abigail. Like I said, I'm not the one talking about these things. Okay. Yes, I know I'm talking about it, but not take my word for it. Okay. Listen to people that have been in your shoes previously, people that have thought about the thoughts you currently have, people that have wondered, is it possible? Is it feasible for me to actually make this full switch, for me to learn the skills and also get the job? Is it possible? Okay, we also have Mojisola. Mojisola was able to get a job as a business analyst in the UK. We have Olamide. Olamide was able to get a job as a business data analyst in the UK, working in the energy sector. Okay, we have Temi. Temi was able to transition from a lawyer into business analysis. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you're a medical doctor, if you're an engineer. It doesn't matter if maybe you're a scientist, if you're an astronaut, even. Okay, and you're looking to get into tech, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. Okay, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a technician, you can become a business analyst. You can listen to Temi, all right? You can listen to Temi by clicking on this link. We also have Ramat. Okay, so you can listen to Ramat by clicking on this link. Numerous testimonials. Like I mentioned, over 2,000 plus individuals that we've been able to help transition from the classroom into their first role in tech. What that means is that those that did not have any knowledge did not have any prior knowledge. That's what it means to transition from the classroom. You did not have any prior knowledge, and you're able to get a job in tech after going through the program. What do you need to be a business analyst? Of course, number one, we already know you need your requirement gathering, because that's what we spent the last 55 minutes thereabout taking a look at, requirement gathering. If you want to be a business analyst, you have to know how to gather requirements from stakeholders. Like I mentioned previously, if your company is building an application, you need to know, do the stakeholders want that application to grant the ability of flight? Okay, it might sound funny, but it's a valid question. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a valid question. What really do you need to be a business analyst? The first thing is that you need to know how to use data analytics tools. You need to know how to use some analytics tools to back you up in your role as a business analyst. Okay, because we are in the world of data. This is the data age. Everything an organization do, they usually want to ensure that their decisions are backed with data. Okay, because now we have companies generating millions, even billions of data. That's when you talk about big data. And so as a business analyst, you want to have the skills. You want to be able to use Excel. You want to be able to use Power BI. You want to be able to use SQL to back you up in your role as a business analyst. And of course, you also want to be able to, you want to know about agile essentials, because many organizations nowadays, and when I say many, I actually mean most. Okay, so most organizations nowadays, they use use the agile framework. What is the agile framework about? Simply put, agile is saying that you should have flexibility. Agile is saying that you can go ahead to launch a product even when development is not complete. That is the reason why nowadays you download an application and then from time to time you continuously get updates. So you get update 1.0, 2.0, 2.0, 4.0. That's agile. Agile is saying that you don't need to do number one before you move over to number three. You can actually do number one, number two, number three at the same time. Agile is saying that if you have a washing machine, unlike what you do previously, that you go ahead to wash your clothes and then you rinse and then you spin, okay, and then you dry. You could literally wash, rinse, spin, and dry at the same time. It's strange, right? Okay. Okay. You're doing all of those things at the same time. That's what Agile is saying. I'm not the one saying that. That is what Agile is saying. And that is the methodology that many organizations use nowadays. And as a business analyst, you of course want to understand what it's about and how to function in the Agile framework. All right. You also want to know about SDLC. That's the software development lifecycle. The different stages, the different phases that you need to carry out whenever a software is being developed within the organization. Oh, so we need to plan. Oh, we need to design. We need to implement. We need to test. We need to debug. Each and every one of those things. Of course, you need to understand them. The software development lifecycle, the SDLC. You also need that. You also need to understand requirement fundamentals, elicitation, analysis, specification, and approval. That's just relating to what we've been talking about so far, which is requirement gathering. You need to know about how to gather requirements from stakeholders. You need to also be able to leverage Agile and Scrum for your project. You also need, your Agile online project collaboration. That's for you to have a bunch of projects that you've been able to work on as a business analyst. Something that is going to back you up in terms of the experience that you have, that you've been able to garner. Each and every one of those things, the data analytics, the Agile essentials, the SDLC, the requirement fundamentals, the Agile and Scrum for projects, the Agile online project collaboration. All of those things will convert you into not a business analyst, but a master business analyst. And of course, you also want to know how to use AI to boost your role as a business analyst, because we're in the world of AI. Nowadays, everyone mentions, oh, AI, AI, AI. Yesterday, just a couple of months ago, we had the new version of ChatGPT. So you also want to know how to incorporate ChatGPT, how to incorporate AI into your role as a business analyst to make things a whole lot easier for you. Okay. And yeah, so one other thing because people reach out to me, many persons always, people ask me, on LinkedIn, people send me, messages, people send me messages on, different social media, even my friends as well. And people that, even via mails as well. Okay, I receive a lot of texts. I receive a lot of requests, of course. Okay, so people ask, oh, I used to say, you said that, business analysis is, it is ripe for the taking. It is a role that is only going to be more asked for in coming years. It's a role that is not going to become obsolete, at least not in a couple of decades. Okay. But I went online and I searched for business analyst and I couldn't find any role. I went on LinkedIn and I searched for business analyst and I couldn't find any role. I went on Indeed. I went on, all of the different job sites, read.co.uk, and I did not get any of. I didn't see I saw one or two business analyst role, but there were not a lot. So why should I believe you? Why should I take your word for it that business analysis is only going to grow with time? That's because as a business analyst, you can work in different roles. Having the skills of a business analyst, you'll be able to function as a process analyst. You'll be able to function as a business architect, as a process improvement analyst, a product reliability engineer. Just a moment. Okay, a product reliability engineer, a business process analyst, all of those things. Just being a business analyst, you can function in any one of those roles. So when you're actually trying to, you want to check it out, you really want to know if business analysis is in vogue or not, don't just search for business analyst alone, but rather check for business analyst, check for process analyst, check for business architect, each and every one of those roles. Because so long as you have this skill, you have all of the skills. Okay? All of those things I've talked about so far can be culminated into what you really need to know as a business analyst, the tools that you're going to be using. Talking about, of course, I mentioned Excel. You're going to, of course, you need your data analytics tools to back you up as a business analyst. So you need to learn about Excel, you need to learn about SQL, you need to learn about your Power BI, your Lucid charts and your Draw.io for process mapping. You want to be able to carry out your requirement gathering, elicitation, stakeholder analysis. All of these things I mentioned so far, they are very, very necessary as we've been able to establish. And in the business analysis program, Get Analytics, you are sure of getting all of the skills that you need, all of the tools that you need to be a successful business analyst. Not just a successful business analyst, but rather a successful master business analyst. But really, Aisha, what is a business? Who is a business analyst? Because I understand that a business analyst needs to do this. A business analyst needs to have all of these skills that we've talked about. A business analyst needs to be able to carry out requirement gathering. But who is a business analyst? Is it not just the same thing as being a data analyst or being a scrum master? A business analyst acts as a bridge between the technical stakeholders and the non-technical stakeholders. A business analyst, I like to call, so this is just my own personal thought. I like to say that the business analyst is an agent of change. The business analyst is the one that is in charge of ensuring that a company moves from where they are at the moment to where they want to be. And that's talking about gap analysis, which of course you would also be learning. So a business analyst is the person that would identify bottlenecks within a company's process. Let's say the company is, so let's say it's a retail company, and let's say a retail giant even. And at the moment, we notice that customers don't like buying from us anymore. A business analyst will take a look at the buying process. How does the purchasing, how does, what is the purchasing process like? Oh, the first thing the customer does, the customer opens the door, clicks on walks into the store, opens the door, walks into the store. Then they move over to the cart section. They get their cart, and then they move to the shelf, to get their groceries or whatever they are looking to get. Now, it could be that we have only 5 carts, only 5 shopping carts available, and a day, we have nothing less than 200 customers a day, and we have only 5 shopping carts. Now, by taking a look at all of those processes, okay, so the customer walks in, the customer picks from 5 shopping carts, the customer goes ahead to purchase their item, maybe then another customer walks in, and then when the shopping carts are, now exhausted, the other customer now has to wait for a shopping cart to be available before they can go ahead to make their purchases. That is a bottleneck. That is an issue with the process. So the business analyst will take a look at that. And of course, we map out the processes using, tools like your Draw.io and your Lucid charts. Take a look at those things and really now identify where the problem is coming from. And in this case, the number of cards available in the company. Take a look at those things and then ensure that a change occurs. Oh, so we need to change, from just 5 shopping carts to, let's say, 20 to 40 to 50. Whatever is needed to actually be able to get more customers to go ahead and keep on purchasing items. All right. And in React Analytics, the business analysis program is 4 months. Okay, so you get to learn for 2 months, and then you get to intern for 2 months, working on a real life project, working on building an actual application. So you're not just learning, gaining experience during learning, but you're also going to be working, in an immersive internship. You're going to be gaining experience while learning, of course, because we use what we could like to call an experiential learning approach, whereby each and every one of your classes, you are actively working on a business case, a real life problem. So for every class, you're literally going to be a business analyst. And hear me, listen, I said for every class. I'm not saying, oh, at the end of the program, you are not going to become a business analyst, but for each and every one of the classes you are having, you are going to be in that business analyst role. You are going to be learning, of course, but you are going to be learning while solving an actual business problem. So you are gathering experience, you are gathering experience while learning, and then all of the experience you've learned, You are also going to apply that, all of the experience you've gathered, rather, you are also going to apply that during the internship, working on a real life project. So you have a lot of things to place on your CV. And I mean a lot. Okay. And of course, all our programs come with free internship, not just the business analysis program. It's okay. So it comes with, your free internship, and also we help you to craft your CV and also ensure that your portfolio stands out, because the portfolio is something that is very, very important. You want to have a portfolio that anytime a recruiter says, oh, so you claim to be a business analyst. Can I see things that you've done? Can you show me a project you've worked on as a business analyst? You have something to deliver. You have something to show, because you have a portfolio that is on the cloud and that contains each and every one of the projects that you've worked on. We would show you how you can build a portfolio, not just build a portfolio, but a portfolio that stands out. Okay, and as soon as you get access to the slides, you can just go ahead and click on this link so you can see some of the so you can get take a look at some of the portfolios of previous participants, and you get to understand what you would be expecting. All right, but yeah, we've taken a look at what the perfect role is. We've been able to agree, and I'm sure you agree with me. Okay, we've been able to agree that the perfect role is that role that the perfect role is that of a business analyst. We've been able to agree. I'm sure you agree with me. So if you don't agree with me, so if you agree with me, you can place a yes on the chat. All right. So do we agree? Do we agree? Do we think that all of the things we mentioned, good work-life balance, working remotely, from what I've talked about so far, do we think it can be found in business analysis? Okay, like I mentioned earlier, communication. That is what we are doing here. That's what we are doing, communication. So I want to get your responses. What do you think? So you can just send a yes, a yes or a no if you don't agree. Okay, so if you don't agree, you can send a no as well. Okay, all right. So Tolulokwe says yes. So Tolulokwe agrees. Who else agrees? Is it just Tolulokwe? So Ruth agrees as well. What about the rest of us? All right, it's just two individuals. So I want to know if it's just two individuals that agree. So we have three now. So Precious agrees as well. Collins agrees as well. Okay. All right. Boomi agrees as well. Fantastic. So we all agree. All right. We know that we've all agree. We know that business analyst contains those features that we want in a job. But we are still thinking. I've been able to show you that that you getting the skills as a business analyst, you actually have a very, very good chance of getting the job. And I mentioned that I'm not the one saying this. It's the 2,000 plus individuals that have been able to transition. They're the ones talking about this. That you having the skills, you can get a job as a business analyst. But again, you're still wondering, I want to be a business analyst. You want to be a business analyst. We all want to be a business analyst, because we've talked about the fact that business analysis is the perfect role. And there's no one that doesn't want something that is perfect. Everyone wants something perfect. Everyone wants something great, something amazing. What would separate me from others? What would make me get the job and not others? What would be that particular thing that would ensure that I go ahead to get the skills and that I also get a job? What would make me different from my friend that claimed that they are looking to transition into tech 5 years ago, until now they don't still have a job in tech? At least what would make me different? What would make me different from from my friend that said that, oh, I want to get into tech, and they went ahead to watch a couple of videos, so that they said, oh, I can carry out I can work with Excel now, or I can work with Power BI. Oh wow, I know requirement gathering. Just watch a couple of videos and they claims that they are business analysts, but till now they don't still have a job in tech. They've not made that transition. Yeah, they have the skills, they have the knowledge, or rather, they claim to have the knowledge, but they still don't have a job. What would make me different from them? What would make me not end up as him or as her? What is that? Simple. Employability skills. For you to get a role, you need to have two things. The first 50% and the second 50%. The first 50% is you having those skills that would enable you to get the job done. Because it doesn't make sense for you to want to get into a tech space and you want to get into a new role, but you can't do the role. You can't do the job. It's just like you saying you want to be a doctor, but you don't know a tad bit about medicine. Or you want to be an astronaut, I don't know what physics is all about. Okay, or you don't even know, yeah, you want to be an engineer and you don't know the first thing about maybe, so let's say you want to be a civil engineer now, you don't know the first thing about alloys. Okay. you cannot do a job if you don't have the skills. And that is the first 50%. Talking about the technical skills. You need the technical skills. But your friend claims to have the technical skills, but they do not still have a job. And that is because they are missing the other 50%. Employability skills. Over here, we've understood that it takes more than just having the skills to get a job. It takes you being able to communicate that you have the skills. You might be able to, maybe at the moment, so maybe there's someone on the call that knows how to, make ice cream, or you know how to bake a cake. So let's say you know how to bake a cake. How do I know you can bake a cake? At the moment, I'm currently looking for someone to bake a cake for me. I'm looking to pay a lot, all right, because I want some, exquisite. I always go for, exquisite, perfect, something that you taste and it's mind-blowing. I want someone to bake a cake for me. But how do I know that you can bake a cake? You have the skills, but how do I know you can do that? How do recruiters know that you actually have the skills of a business analyst and that you can do the job that they currently have opened? Employability. T plus E will give you JO. T plus E will give you job offer. Technical plus employability skills would land you the job. And the employability skills, we've been able to break it down into three-layered approach. We talk about the level 1, the level 2, and finally the level 3. Because our goal here at Analytics is not just you getting the skills. That is not what we are interested about. That's not what we're interested in. Previously, I talked about our goal. I said that we are looking to help as many people transition into the tech space, into the tech industry, to land a job in tech. We are not saying that we are looking to help many people get tech skills, all right? But to get to fully transition into the tech industry, that is our goal. And that is the reason why we have level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1, we have the CV review section. Because like I mentioned, it's one thing for you to be able to do the job, and it's another thing for a recruiter to know you can do the job. Many persons lack great CV crafting skills. In the CV review session, you are going to have a one-on-one session with a professional that will show you how you can properly craft a CV, how you can go ahead to tailor your CV to a particular job role, how you can ensure that your CV passes the ATS system, the applicant tracking system, because many people go ahead to send in CVs. At the end of the day, it doesn't even pass the machine. The recruiter does not even see the CV. It doesn't even pass the machine, the system. So in the CV review sessions, you get to learn how you can ensure that as soon as you send the CV, you are sure you're going to be called for an interview. You're sending the CV, you just know that, oh, this is it. Because the CV is going to represent you fully. So they would like to see you fully. CV review sessions. And after the CV review, you also get to learn how to optimize your LinkedIn. The LinkedIn is very, very important. LinkedIn optimization is very, very important because you have numerous recruiters on LinkedIn. And when you go ahead to, maybe you apply for a job, people usually go back to your LinkedIn profile. I, for one, I know I do so. All right. So go back to your LinkedIn profile to see what you've been able to accomplish, what you've been able to do. We help you to craft your CV, your LinkedIn profile to ensure that your LinkedIn is now optimized. That when recruiters see your profile, all your profile says is, I am the one. I am the one for this role. I am the one for this role. Because we have many situations whereby recruiters go ahead to LinkedIn, search for professionals in a particular field that they are looking to get someone in at that point in time, and then go ahead to tell the person to send in a CV. You don't even know that there's a job post being opened up. You don't even know that there's a job post that is actually opened at the moment. But rather, someone reaches out to you, the recruiter reaches out to you and tell you to send your CV. I don't think it gets better than that. That's possible with optimized LinkedIn profiles. If you're interested in freelancing, if you want to dictate your work hours, you want to decide, oh, I'm going to work 5, I don't feel like working. I want to go on vacation and don't want to work for the next 3 months. Oh, I want to work 5 to 6 today. You want to decide your work hours. You want to freelance. Upwork optimization is for you. The Upwork optimization session will take you through all of the nitty-gritties of Upwork, what you need to know, how to properly craft a proposal, how to ensure that your proposal is seen. Because it's one thing for you to craft a good proposal, it's another thing for your proposal to actually be viewed on Upwork. For those familiar with Upwork, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. All right. You get to learn, oh, should I boost a proposal or should I not boost a proposal? Taking a look at the Connect system, that's the currency that Upwork utilizes. You get to learn how you can land gigs on Upwork. If you are new to a country, if you just migrated, so you're new to a particular country, so you just moved to Poland or you just moved to Canada, you moved to the UK, okay? You just migrated and you are looking to get a job and you don't really understand the job market. You would like to get great insights on how you can navigate the job market. Oh, when should I apply for a role? Where can I find jobs? Which job boards are legit in this particular country? How do I navigate the job market? You are going to be speaking with professionals, so professionals are going to be, you're going to have sessions with professionals that will take you through how you can navigate the job markets in these countries. They will take you through what they did, how they succeeded, what they did right, so you can replicate, and what they did wrong, so you don't replicate. Now, you've been called for an interview. Your CV is fantastic. You sent your CV. Your CV, passed the ATS in flying colors. The recruiter took a look at your CV and said, wow, I think this is a very interesting individual, and I think I would like to meet you. They went over to your LinkedIn. They'll say that your LinkedIn was amazing. All right. You were able to send your CV, optimize your LinkedIn, optimize your Upwork. You're able to do this perfectly because you knew how to navigate the job market. All of those things, they've ensured that you've gotten your feet in the door. They've ensured that you've sparked interest with the organization. The journey is not over. You don't want to flop during the interview process, of course. Because many persons are in this particular band whereby they go ahead, they actually do get they actually are called for the interview. Their issues is not with the CV. They have a fantastic CV, they have fantastic LinkedIn. They are called for the interview, but that's where it ends. Like literally, that is where it ends. You call for the interview, they get, they speak and speak and speak, and they get something like, oh, thank you very much. I will reach out to you. And that is where it ends. Or maybe later on, they'll get a mail from the company and they're excited. And then the first thing they see is what? Unfortunately. That's the first word. Or it begins with thank you for. So thank you for applying. Or unfortunately. Okay. All right. So most times when you just take a look at the email, you don't need to open it. The first line, you already know what it's saying. Okay. So many people fall in that band. That is why over here at Analytics, we ensure that that is not the case for you. That you've gotten your feet in the door. At the end of the day, you end up getting the job because you have what you call job and interview preparation. You've gotten an interview. You can book for an interview. You can book for an interview prep session. You book for an interview prep session. You get to have a one-on-one discussion. You get to with a professional that will take you through what you should expect, the questions you should expect from the interview. They will take you through how you should respond to these questions, how you should carry out, salary negotiation and all of those things to ensure that you do get a job. Organizations, when they're impressed, when they want to give you the job, they're excited. They want you to work for them. They usually now do what we call, requests for reference letters, because nowadays we have people that claim that they are what they are not. So you during the interview stage, it said that, oh, guys, in my last organization, I was the one that transformed the entire organization. When I joined them, we were making $10 million every year when I joined, and then just 5 days after joining, I was able to create 500% increase in revenue, just 5 days after joining. And I did it alone. And the company is excited. Wow, so you're able to transform, increase revenue by 500% just within 5 days of you joining the company. Wow. I would like you, I'm excited. I want you to be a part of us. I want you to do the same thing for us. But they really want to know, did you really do that? And so they reach out to organizations, to your previous employer, to really ask, oh, is this person who he or she is? Is this person who they say they are? And as a participant of Analytics, as an alumni or registered participant, you know for a fact that you are going to be getting fantastic reference and recommendation letters from us whenever this is requested to back you up. That is all for level 1. Level 2, we have weekly mentorship sessions. Sometimes we apply for jobs, apply, and we keep getting, unfortunately, sorry, thank you for applying. Would like to hear from you again. Thank you for interest, all those emails that begins with thank you. Okay, so not congratulations, but rather it begins with a thank you. So we get that a lot. And sometimes you might feel like, you know what? I don't think tech is for me. Let me move on. Let me keep on doing whatever it is I was doing. You need someone to tell you that it's fine. Rejections happen to the best of us. You need someone to tell, take a look at what you've been doing and try to identify why you are not getting the desired results. You need a mentor. That is what the weekly mentorship session is all about. You getting insights as to new changes in the industry, you being told to keep on moving, and you being mentored on things that you might have been doing wrongly, that you can so things that you might have been doing wrongly, so you can change that, do things in the right manner to ensure that you do actually get that role, being mentored weekly. And we also offer on-the-job support. So you've gotten a job. Fantastic. But, maybe there was one of the tasks that once a particular task was given to you and you are confused as to how to go about it. You can reach out to us. Oh, so I was given this to do in my company. Please, can you give me an insight? And then we give you pointers. Oh, so you can go about it this way. Just do this, and then you go out. But you go back and then you get that done fantastically well. And of course, you blow their minds. So on the job support, of course, you're going to be getting from us. And the level 3 is that we are promising you, as long as you go ahead to register for the program, we are promising you one job. We are promising you one job interview 1 month after completing the training with us. It's a promise to you. All we will need from you is for you to play your part, do whatever it is we tell you to do, and you leave the rest to us. The TV layered approach. What would ensure that you are above others? what is the classroom like? So if you go ahead to register for the program now, how are you going to learn? Okay, you go ahead to register for the program. How are you going to learn? Now, this is what the classroom looks like. When you register, so you're going to be given a link to join the classroom. So this is the business analysis. This is the business analysis. This is the June cohort. All right, so this is the June cohort. So just a moment. All right, then this is the May cohort. So this is, so we have the we have the EU. So I'm just going to take a look at these. So we get to see what we would be expecting. Okay, so just a moment. Okay, so I'll just scroll to the bottom. Now, the first thing you see over here, it says welcome to BA. So you have your welcome kit, you have the terms and conditions, the navigating the Google Classroom. Now you can go up navigate through all of these, and of course the LMS platform that you're also going to get access to. And then you get your installation videos that will guide you on how you can actually go about um downloading these tools, those programs that you would need to go through the program. And then you have your onboarding session to onboard you into the program. And over here, you see you have MS Excel class 1. That's your first Excel class. And in this, to see the slides. So over here, so we see the slides. Okay, so this is the Excel slide. So you're going to be working on case studies, of course. So you're going to have, slides that will take you through what Excel is all about. And then remember I talked about experiential learning. This is where the case study comes in, where you get to take a look at a business case, and then you get to actively work on that business case. You are acting as a business analyst, working on a business problem, and working on that business problem using Microsoft Excel. So you are learning and gaining experience at the same time. Now, if you ever miss a class, so let's say that let's say you for a particular, maybe one of the days that you had an emergency and you probably could not attend the class, you don't need to fret. Okay, you don't need to be bothered, because every session is recorded. And I mean every session is recorded. Okay, so you get to see the class recording. So you can click on this, and then you get to click on the link and go through the recorded class. And over here, you also see, MS Excel class 2. You have the, you have the data sets. You have the data sets. You have the case study. So you can click on these. This time they're working on Clont Clock. So you get to, take a look at the case study, the business case. All right. And all of that. Okay. And of course, you also have the class recording. Now, you also get to have your presentation. So whenever you learn something in class, you're going to be given an assignment where you now join the program. You join a session with the facilitator, and then you get to present what it is you have done. This is to ensure that you are learning. Okay, so this is what the case study presentation is all about. And of course, you have the mentorship session, like I mentioned. And in this mentorship session, they got to look at the start seat approach. Okay, so don't worry, you would learn all about that. So you have the Power BI classes, the SQL classes, that's your SQL, and you have your drop-in sessions where you get to join. So during the week, you have let's say you have a question. So let's say during the week. So you've gone through the Saturdays, you've gone through class on Saturday, on Sunday, you are practicing, and then you have a question that you'd like to ask. Okay, during the drop-in session, you get to join a session with the facilitator, and then you can have a discussion with the facilitator. Ask questions regarding the current industry. Ask questions regarding what was done previously. Questions, intelligent questions. Oh, I tried doing this, it didn't work out. What can I do? That is what the drop-in session is all about. So you see, you have the LinkedIn optimization session, you have the introduction to business analysis, project initiation planning, you have your body mentorship session, you have the business case, SDLC requirements, you have all of these fully packed. And you also see the CV stroke interview prep. So if you have an interview, you can just come over to book an interview prep session. All right, so you click on that, and then you can select any of the links. So let's say I select this now. All right, so let's say I select that link. So, all right, so you get you're taken to this calendar where you can choose available time. So you can select this. So let's say the 25th, you select the time you would want to have the interview prep, and then you go ahead to book an interview. All right. And of course, this you can also use this to request for reference from us, because like I mentioned earlier, so if you want the reference details, you can just take a look at this and go through that method, because we of course offer recommendation, just recommendation and reference letters to each and every one of our participants. Okay. Now, our next course is going to begin on the 6th of July. All right. So this should be 6th of July. So it begins the 6th of July. All right. As you can see over at this point. So join our next course 6th of July. And then this is the fee. So this is the commitment you would have to make to become to register for the business analysis program that begins 6th of July. Now, if you're the fee, all right, so the fee is $750. That's if you're paying in dollars, of course. If you're paying in pounds, the fee is £625. If you're paying in euros, 730 euros. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, 1,125 Canadian dollars. Okay. And if you're paying in Naira, that is 900,000 Naira. So that is the amount you have to pay to become a part of the program. Okay. Although at the moment, okay, so we are currently offering a 20% discount. So the first 20 persons to register for the program. Okay, so we currently have a discount that might close anytime soon. And if you do key into the discount, if you become a beneficiary of the discount, okay, you get to pay the discounted amount of. So if you're in Nigeria, you get to pay the discounted amount of 720,000 Naira only. And I repeat, only if you do key into the discount only. If not, you are going to have to pay the full amount, which is 900,000 Naira. Okay. So the discounted amount, 720,000 Naira. If you're paying Naira, you get to pay 580 euros. All right. If you're paying in euros, of course, you get to pay 500 pounds, $600. That is for the discounted amount. Now, if at the moment you cannot make the full payment, that's so let's say you are able to key into the discount and you don't have the full 900 Canadian dollars, or you don't have the full 720,000 Naira at the moment, you can go ahead to make payments in 2 installments. So you make the first installment and then you make payments for the second installment. So the first installment, the payment would have to be made before the start of the program. So if you're paying in euros, for instance, you can pay 400 euros, all right, for the first installment before July 4th. So registration is going to end the 4th of July. Okay. Before July 4th, you can go ahead and pay the first installment, which is 400 euros. That's if you're paying euros. That's 250 pounds if you're paying in pounds. And then 1 month into the program, you get to make the second payment, which is 150 pounds. And of course, if you're paying in Naira, that will be 500,000 for the first installment. And then the second installment will be 220,000 Naira. All right. And this is the link for you to make payments. Remember, this is the discounted amount is only for the first 20 individuals. If you are not able to key into the discounts, you would have to pay the full amount. All right. So once this is the link to the this is the link to make the payment. So my colleagues have also been sending in the payment details to the chat box. So by clicking on this, this is going to take you to at the enrollment center, and this is what the enrollment center looks like. Okay, so on the enrollment center, once you click on that link, okay, so you're going to take into the enrollment center where you get to see, chat with analytics. If you have a question for us, you want to speak with someone regarding, any issue you might be having with payment. So you can click on this, and of course, someone will be ready to answer you. Okay, and then you can also take a look at each and every one of our program brochures. We currently offer 8 programs. So you can take a look at these, just click on the link. It will take you to the different brochures. So you get to understand what each and every one of these programs it's all about. And also we have the the payments in the fee. All right, so over here you can see the fee in case if you are confused as to what the fee is like. So you can just take a look at that from this particular point. And then if you are looking to make a direct transfer, So let's say you want to make payments, by sending by making a direct transfer from your bank. You can use the Canadian account details. That's if you're in Canada. You can use the British account details if you're in the UK, or the Nigerian account details if you're in Nigeria. Okay, so over here you can see the account details for each and every one of available bank accounts. That's if you are looking to make a direct transfer. But what about if you want to pay with your card? So you are not looking to make a direct transfer, but you want to make payments with your card. You can just scroll down to where you see card stroke online payments, and then you select the program you're looking to make payments for. In this case, let's say business analysis. So I'm looking to make payments for the business analysis program. I can go ahead and select business analysis, and that would open up, just a moment. Okay, so that would open this up where I can, I get to see this point where I can insert the amount I'm looking to pay. So if it doesn't matter your location, so if you're in South Africa, you are in Ghana, you're in Kenya, you are, you're in Uganda, wherever you are, okay, you're in Canada, you're in the UK, you're in Australia, all right, and you want to make payments using your card. As soon as you click on this, the system is going to take note of the currency in your current location. So at the moment, I'm currently in Nigeria, and that's the reason why you see it's in Naira. So for you, if you're in the UK, so this is going to be in pounds. If you're in Ghana, this is going to be in cedis, okay? And then you can go ahead to insert the payment. So let's say I'm looking to make, let's say I want to make the full amount, that's the discounted amount, that'll be 720,000. But let's say I want to make the first installment. I can just insert 500,000, and I go ahead and click on proceed to pay. Okay, it brings me to this point where I insert my information, my email, my phone number. Okay, so just a moment. All right, just click on that again. Okay, my name, email address, so I can insert my phone number. So I just insert random numbers, and then I go ahead and click on proceed. Okay, so by clicking on proceed, I get this pop-up where I can insert my card details and go ahead to click on pay and make my payment. Now, as soon as you make payments using your card, you're going to be sent a receipt via your email. Okay, that's the email you inserted at this point. You're going to get a receipt. Now, once you get the receipt, you want to come back to the enrollment center and then click on this upload your receipt here. If you made the direct transfer, you would also get a receipt, of course. So you want to ensure you come back here and that you upload your receipt, you fill in the form, you upload your receipt, and then we get that, and you get a confirmation email from us with your welcome kit that contains all of the things you need to be a part of the program. And one other thing, so let's say you want to key into the discounts, okay? So let's say you want to key into the discount because, like I mentioned, it's only for the first 20%, all right? And you want to key into the discounts. You don't want to have to pay the full amount. But at the moment, you currently don't have the first installment. Okay, you don't have the first installment. Maybe the first installment will come in, so let's say before July 4th, will come in, towards the end of the month. But you want to ensure you're not too late, that you cling to the discount. What you can do is that you can make a commitment. And what do I mean by a commitment? You can make a payment. So instead of making the full 500,000, for instance, if you are paying in Naira, you can make a commitment of, let's say, 250,000 of 300,000. All right. So you pay that first of all to ensure that you key into the discount. That what you secure the discounted slots, so you don't end up paying the full amount. All right. So you make that commitment to ensure you key into the discount, and then before the start of the program, before July 4th, before the program begins, all right, you want to ensure you complete the first installment. So let's say you paid 300,000 now to key into the discount. Before July 4th, you want to ensure you've paid in the balance 200,000 to, that's 20,000 Naira, of course, to balance the first installment, so you get access to the class. And then, of course, 1 month into the program, you can then make the second installment. Okay, so again, discount is for the first 20 people to register. So TikTok, you need to get that done very, very quickly. All right, and of course, like I mentioned earlier, this The transitioning is easy. It has been done before. All you need is your commitment. You need to put in the work and you leave the rest for us. You can listen to all of these guys speak. Okay, so go to our YouTube channel, listen to all of the testimonials from people that have been able to make that full switch from the classroom into their first job in tech. All right. So yeah, so I think I'm going to be taking questions now. So if you have a question for me, please go ahead and so all right. So just use the reason icon if you have a question for me, and I will call on you to ask your question. Okay, so anyone has a question for me? If you have a question, just use the reason icon. I would ask you to unmute and take your question, or you can also send your question to the chat box. So Yemi is asking, can a mortgage banker transition to business analyst and how? First answer is yes, you can. All right. So if you're a banker, you can make that switch into business analysis. And fun fact, Tesu is also a banker and he's a business analyst. Okay, so Tesu, that's the one that took us through requirement gathering. He's also a banker and he's a business analyst. Now, it doesn't matter the background, your background, you can transition. Okay, I'm currently in tech. Okay, in my profession, I'm a forester. So what I studied was forestry. So I studied forestry and wildlife back in school. Okay, and that is my, that's what that is what what I spent years and years and years to study. But I I think for the better part of my career, or the better part of my career, I've been in tech. All right, I have a lot of experience in tech, as we've clarified earlier. So making that switch is very, very possible. So how can you make that switch? All you need to do, all right, is to leave that to us. So like I mentioned, you're going to have the CV review session where you get to see how you can convert your current experience into business analysis experience. So you don't seem like, oh, you're coming from a place of, you're a noob. So you don't know anything, you're not going to say you're learning. So you're not, when you are in the week, when you're in the interview stage, you're not going to tell them that, oh, I just learned business analysis. Okay. So there's a way that you're going to craft your CV to ensure that your CV is talking about you having experience as a business analyst. So we change all of your mortgage and banker experience, that we would craft that, all right, to become experience of a business analyst to ensure you get the job. So that's just the tip. There's a whole lot of other things, like I mentioned, employability skills, the other 50%, it is absolutely needed. And that's something that you are going to be taking through, and of course, to ensure you do get the job. Okay. Tolulokpe. So, thank you very much, Tolulokpe. All right, so that's fantastic. So, Tolulokpe is just sending our regards. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you for that comment, Tolulokpe. That is very, very much appreciated. Okay, yeah. And Yemi says, will the internship be a posting to an organization or how? So the internship is going to be with us. So yeah, at Analytics, you're going to be interning with us. Now, the internship for the business analysis program, like I mentioned, you are going to be working on a project that you will be building an actual application. It's not a dummy. The application is not going to be in space. You're not going to be building the application in here, okay? You're going to be building the application, like it's going to be a real application that you are going to be able to interact with. So you're going to be in a team of you're going to have scrum masters in your team, you're going to have product owners, you're going to have the developer, of course, because the developer is the one that's going to build the application. All right, so you have numerous stakeholders, and the application you're going to be building, it's a web application that we at Analytics that we are going to be using, of course. So you are going to be interning with us. So you're not going to be posted to any organization. You are going to be interning with us. Of course, for some of the programs that we offer here at Analytics, you'll be consulting you'll be a consultant with us, and you'll be working on some projects for some other organizational projects. Because here at Analytics, we also do offer consulting services That is, organizations reach out to us, to help to train their staff, to help to identify a business problem that they're having at the moment, and to help them fix that. So some of these problems that we've been giving, not for the business analysis program though, just for some other programs, they get to work on that. Of course, some of the details will be changed as a result of data privacy issues and all of that. Okay, so some of the details will be changed, but yeah. But for the business analysis, like I mentioned, you are going to be interning for 2 months, okay, working on a business application with us. All right. So I believe I was able to answer your question, Yemi. Okay. So any other question? Any other question? All right. So I guess not. So thank you everyone for joining me. Of course, you're going to get the recording, you're going to get the materials and all of that, as long as you did fill in the attendance form. So please do stay safe always. Ensure that you go through the recording, to go through the requirement gathering again, and that you do register. You need to be very, very quick, all right, in making your payments, because like I mentioned earlier, it is just for the first 20 persons. And just like the clock says, tick, tick, says the clock. What you have to do, you have to do it really quickly. Go ahead, click on that link, make that payment, be a part of the discount, and I'll see you in class. Cheers, everyone.